Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Reeti and I am back with the part 2 of top SQL questions asked in interviews. In this particular video, we would be learning about some SQL clauses, operators which are oftenly used for conditions like data retrieval, data filtering, data aggregation, grouping and much more. Then we would be discussing on how we can approach a given problem. Then we would be discussing on some LeetCode problems based on that. So without any further ado, let's get started. Now first we'll start with how we can think on what SQL clause operator function to choose in given scenarios or given condition. So the very first scenario is when we want to have a data retrieval. So whenever you want to retrieve some data from the database, it is oftenly suggested to use the select statement because select statement is used for retrieving data from one or more tables. So whenever you want to retrieve some attributes or some data from the database, you can use this select statement. Now coming to the second scenario, that is data filtering. So whenever we want some data to be filtered, consider based on some condition or consider based on some of the logic. So we would be using all these. So first is where clause. So where clause is used to filter records based on some specific condition. So whenever there is a table and in that particular table there are some attributes as well as tuples, and if we want to filter some data based on some condition, we can use this where clause. Now coming to and, or and not operators. So these operators are oftenly used whenever we want to combine two or three conditions. Consider that I want the data of all the person whose age is greater than 80 and gender is equal to male. So whenever we want to club two conditions or multiple conditions, we use this and or not operator. Now coming to between. So whenever we want to do a search based on some specific range, consider that I want the details of all the employees whose age lies between 18 to 50. So for this particular range, if I want to do a search, I can use the between operator. Now coming to in. So in checks whether a specified value matches any value in the subquery or list. So we have a specified value and it checks that if that particular value matches in the particular list which is present here or in the subquery which is present here. Now coming to like, so whenever we have any pattern matching problems, consider that we want the employee details whose name start with A. We want the employee details who have A as the second character in their name. So for all those questions, we use this like operator. So it is used for pattern matching. We use it with percent as well as underscore, where underscore represents a single character and percent represent the before or after characters. Now coming to the next scenario, that is aggregation on data. So whenever we want a single value for multiple rows, we use this aggregation. So what are all these aggregations? So first is average. It returns the average value of a numeric column. So if there is a column in a given table and if we want the average of that particular column, we use this average. Consider if there is a salary column and I want the average salary, it will go ahead and find the average for the entire set of rows which is present here. Now coming to min, it returns the minimum value in a column, like consider minimum salary. Coming to max, it returns the maximum value in a column. So if we want the maximum salary, we can use this. Coming to sum, it returns the total sum of the numeric column. So it goes ahead and add all the records or all the data which is present in this salary table and it will give me the total sum. Now coming to the count. So count counts the number of non-null values in a specified column. So consider if there is a column salary. Now salary has some values A, B, C, and consider one value is null because there is no value. So count will go ahead and count the number of rows, but it excludes the null value. So it will give me the output as 1, 2 and 3. So whenever I am performing count on the salary column, it will give me the output as 3 because it will go ahead and count the number of rows which are having non-null values. Now coming to count star. So count star counts the total number of rows in a table including the rows with null value. So if I am using count star, it will go ahead and count all the rows. Like it will include null as well as non-null values. So it will give me 4 as the output. So count will exclude the null values. Count star will also include the null values. Now coming to the next scenario, that is grouping and filtering of groups. So whenever we want to do some grouping and whenever we want to do some filtering based on that groups, so we use this group by and having. So what is this group by used for? So whenever we want to group rows that have the same values in a specified columns, we use the group by. So consider here there is salary A, B, C. and consider there is one more salary A. Now here we can see that A and A is repeated twice, like for the salary column there are two A's which is present, right? So we can group them in a single group, then we can group B, then we can group C. Like in department we used to group department basis on IT, HR, marketing. So group by is basically used that whenever we want to group some data which is present in some specified column. Now coming to having clause, so having is basically a condition which is applied on the group by clause, or you can say which is always applied to an aggregated data. So where is applied whenever we want to filter data based on some condition when the aggregation hasn't happened, but when the aggregation has happened we use the having clause for filtering the data. So having clause filter the groups based on some specific condition. So we have formed the groups using the group by clause. Now we want to filter on the basis of some conditions. So we will be using having clause. Now coming to the next scenario of sorting of data. So whenever we want to sort our data in ascending or descending order, we use this order by. So order by sorts the result set by one or more columns. So if there is a column, consider salary, and if there are some salaries present, consider 1 rupees, 2 rupees, 3 rupees. We can sort these salaries based on ascending and descending order using order by. By default the order by uses the ascending order, so if we have to give for descending order we have to say that the order should be descending, so we have to give it explicitly. Now coming to the next scenario, that is data retrieval from combination of two or more tables. So consider that there are two tables, student and student course details. Now I want some data from this table as well as this table. So I have to join this table. So that is why join is used. So what happens, we can join these tables to fetch some data from this table as well as this table based on a specific column which is common between them. So there are some joins, inner join, left join, right join, full join, which combine rows from two or more tables based on related columns. So based on some related columns, it combines the rows and give me the result. Now coming to the next scenario, that is conditional logic. So in where we were filtering the data based on some condition, but how we can create the condition. So for creating the condition we use this case and if. So whenever we want to create some condition we can use this case and if. So case perform conditional logic within a query using when, then and else, and if returns the value depending on whether a condition is true or false. So if we are using this if, it returns the value based on some condition. So if this condition is true, it will return the first value. If this condition is false, it will return the second value. So this is how we use the if. And case we oftenly use with when and then. So we give when and then we provide the condition and then we give the result. So it is then and the result, and then we end it when it's done. So this is the way we use the case and this is the way we use the if. Let's see that how we can solve SQL question, or what is the approach we should follow. So the very first step is understand what the question says. So we need to understand that what the question exactly says, like if the question is asking for some retrieval of data, if it's asking for aggregated result or joining tables or performing some updates or deletes. So we have to go through the question and we have to figure out that what specific condition it needs to be accommodated there. Now coming to step 2, check the data type constraints, primary key, foreign key and the relationship between the tables. So if there are multiple tables, we have to check the foreign key and the relationship between those tables. If there is a single table, or consider if there is a table, we need to check the data type of given columns or attributes, the constraints if there are any present, the primary key which is for that particular table. So we have to check for all those things. Now coming to step 3, we have to use the appropriate SQL clauses and functions. So as discussed in the last set of slides, that if there is any data retrieval we can use select, if there is any filtering based on some condition we can use where, if there is any grouping we can use group by, if we need to do filtering on the groups we can use having. So in the same way we need to know what are the appropriate SQL clauses or function we can use here. Now coming to step 4, ensure appropriate indexes on the column in where, join and order by clauses. So whenever we are using this where, join and order by clauses, we have to make sure that we are performing the operations based on the indexed column only. So indexing help us to have the results very fast and it increases the query time. If there is no indexing present, it will go ahead and scan the entire database. So that will take a lot of time, right? So the query increases its time whenever there is no indexing present, but if there is indexing present, the data retrieval is very fast. So these are the questions which we would be discussing. I'll provide the links in the description so you can go ahead and watch out the questions and then go ahead and solve it once. So first question is swap salary, second is duplicate emails, third is employee earning more than their managers, fourth is not boring movies, and fifth is class more than 5 students. So let's start with swap salary. So what is the question? So we have to write a solution to swap all f and m values, that is change all f values to m and vice versa with a single update statement and no intermediate temporary table. So there is a salary table which is given, which is having columns such as id, name, sex and salary, and what we have to do is we have to change m to f whenever we found m, and we have to change f to m whenever we found f. So we have to basically do a swap for m to f and f to m in this particular salary table. So take 2 minutes and think that how we can approach this question, and then we would be solving this problem. So let's start with solving the problem. So what is given here? It is given that we have to swap these values m with f and f with m. Apart from this, there is one more thing which is given, that we have to do an update, and it would only be a single update. Like there shouldn't be any multiple updates involved. The third given thing is that we don't need or we shouldn't make any temporary tables. So temporary tables is not allowed. So here can you see that we are forming some kind of condition, that whenever we are encountering m, swap it with f. Whenever we are encountering f, swap it with m. So here we are forming some small kind of condition. So can we use this if and case here since we are making a condition? Yes, we can use. So how we can use is, we'll use if sex is equal to m, go ahead and update the value as f, and if the sex is not equal to m, go ahead and update the value to m. So would this work? Let's see. So it will come here. Is sex equal to m? Yes. So go ahead and update it to f. So it will go ahead and update it to f. Now coming to this, is sex equal to m? No. So go ahead and update it to m. So it will go ahead and update it to m. Now coming to this, is sex equal to m? Yes. So go ahead and update it to f. So it will go ahead and update it to f. Now coming to the last row, is sex equal to m? No, it's f. So go ahead and update it to m. So it will go ahead and update it to m. So here you can see that it has swapped and updated all the values. So we can use this if for forming the condition, and we have to update this particular table. So we have to form the query in such a way that we have to update this table, that is a salary table. And what we have to do is, we have to set the sex based on whatever value this condition is giving me. So in this way we can form the query for this particular question. We are going ahead, we are updating the salary table, we are setting the value of sex based on a condition that if sex is equal to m, set it to f. If it's not equal to m, then go ahead and set it to m. So in this way we can perform this particular query. Let's go ahead and solve it from LeetCode, and let's see that if the solution is working or not. So here we have to update, and the table name here is salary. So we'll just pick this. So salary, and then we have to set the value in the column sex, where if sex is equal to m, then go ahead and set the value as f. If this condition is false, then set the value as m. So if the sex is m, that is male, then go ahead and set the value to f, that is female. If it's not male, then go ahead and set the value as male. So this is the final query which we have made. So let's just execute this query and see if it's running or not. So it has ran successfully for the test case which was provided here. So let's just submit this solution and we'll see that if it is getting accepted or not. So it has accepted. So this is how we can swap the salary. So coming to the next question, that is duplicate emails. So this is the table, person table, which is having ID as well as email. In the output, we have to provide the email which is duplicated or which has more than one occurrence. So write a solution to report all the duplicate emails. Note that it's guaranteed that the email field is not null. So email field would not have any null values. Now we have to return the result table in any order. So there could be a possibility that there are two emails which have more than one occurrence. So we don't have any order in which we want to return the result. Like if B has 2 occurrence and if A has 3 occurrence, we have to return A first or B first. So there is no ordering logic involved here. We have to just return the email in any order. So you can take a 2-minute pause here and you can think that how we can approach this question. Then we will start solving it. So let's solve it. So what is given? So it's given that we have to find the duplicate email. So that is all the emails who have occurrence more than one time in the given table. Now it is also given that email wouldn't have any null values. And the third thing which is given is we can return the result in any order. So there is no ordering logic involved. Now we have to find the occurrence of email, right? So here you can see that there are some emails which is getting repeated twice. So why not to group the emails? So what we can do is we can group the emails in multiple groups, like according to the same values we can form the group, like there could be a group of A, there could be a group of B, there could be a group of C, and all these are emails. So why not to create the group of those emails and then go ahead and count the occurrence of that email. So we'll group all the emails and then we will go ahead and count the number of occurrence of that email. So it will go ahead and count the number of rows which is present with the email as A, with the email as B, and with the email as C. So would that work? Yes, that would work. So what we will do is first we'll go ahead and group the emails. So on the basis of values, it will be grouped into 3 or 4 or many subgroups, right? Now after it has been grouped into subgroups, what we will do is we will go ahead and count for an individual email, that what is the occurrence of this email, then what is the occurrence of this email. Based on the groups only we are counting, so we only need to perform this count logic once. So what we will do is first we will group the emails and then we will go ahead and count that how many occurrences of A is present in this particular group, how many occurrences of B is present in this group, how many occurrences of C is present in this group. So what we will do in the query is first we will select email which we have to show in the final result, and then it would be from, and then the table name is person. Then we'll perform a group by on the email, and after grouping the email I'll give a condition that whenever the count of the email which is present in this aggregated group is greater than 1, go ahead and print that particular email in the final result. So we'll go ahead and count the occurrences of all those emails in this particular group, and it will provide me all the emails who is having count greater than 1. So if A is occurring once, B is occurring twice, and C is occurring thrice, so we would be seeing B and C in the final result. So this is how we can solve this particular question. So let's see from the LeetCode. So we will be giving the query as select, and then the column name is email. So let me just copy from here, select email, and then we will give the table name, that is from, and the table name is person. So person, it would be from, and then we will give the group by. So it will be group by, and then we'll provide the column name on which we are grouping. So that would be email. So we have formed the email groups. Now from that email group, we have to filter all those emails who are having their count as greater than 1. So this is how we can form the query. So let's just execute this query. Okay, so it is accepted and it has run all the test cases. So let me just submit it. So here also the solution is accepted. So this is how we can find the duplicate emails in a given group of data. So coming to the next question, employees earning more than their managers. So we have to write a solution to find the employees who are earning more than their managers. So there is an employee table which is given, in which we have ID, employee name, employee salary, and manager ID. So let me name it as MID. So if you consider a scenario of a company, so every employee would be having some employee ID, like I would be also having some employee ID, my manager would be also having some employee ID, my director will also have some employee ID. So all the employees would be having some ID. So that is mentioned here. All the employees' names are mentioned here. All the employees' salaries are mentioned here. And in this manager ID, we provide the manager ID for this particular employee. So consider if the first employee is Joe, the salary is this, and the manager ID is 3. So we'll go ahead and see that which is 3 in this ID column. So that is Sam. So the manager for Joe is Sam. Now coming to 2, that is Henry, the salary is given and the manager ID is 4. So what is 4 in this particular column? That is Max. So we'll give Max here. So Max is the manager of Henry and Sam is the manager of Joe. And coming to Sam and Max, there are no managers because they themselves are managers. So here you can see that this is the way we can figure out that who is the manager for this particular employee, right? Now what we have to do is we have to find the employees who are earning more than their managers. So we know all the employees. Now we know their managers as well table from the manager ID. Now we have to find out all the employees who are earning more than their managers. So how we will find it? So just take a 2-minute pause, think on the approach which you can think, and then we'll go ahead and solve this particular problem. So let's start solving. So what we will do is, we are given with a table which is having employee ID, employee name, employee salary, and manager ID. So here you can see that the manager ID is given like 3, 4, null and null. So right now I don't know that for the employee, consider Joe, who is the manager. Like I'm going ahead and manually writing Sam, but there could be a database which is having like huge set of data. So for that data, I won't be going ahead and manually seeing the name and writing it here, right? And again, I need the manager salary as well. So here I'll be needing Sam's salary, and here I'll be needing Mac's salary. So what we will do is, we will figure out a way in which this particular manager ID displays me all the manager details, right? So this particular manager ID displays me the manager name, manager salary, manager personal details as well. So what I'll do is, I'll perform a join operation here. Now how I'll perform a join operation here? So here you can see that there is a hierarchy which is getting formed, right? So here Joe is having Sam as the manager, Henry is having Max as the manager, and Sam and Henry are the employees. So there is some hierarchy which is getting formed. So for all these type of questions where we can see that there is some hierarchy getting formed and some sort of data is dependent on other set of data, we use the join. And here we will be using the self join. So why we would be using the self join? Because here there is only one table, and we have to somehow figure out the manager details from this manager ID itself. So what we will be doing is, we will be performing self join, that is, we will be joining this table from itself, so that whenever this table gets joined with this table, like itself only, we will get the manager details. So how we will get the manager detail? So consider that there are two tables for now, E1 and E2. Although these two tables have same set of data, but consider that this is the employee table and this is the manager table. Now I need all the manager details. So what I'll do is, I'll join this table with this table, and the condition of join would be that E1 dot manager ID is equal to E2 dot ID. So E2 dot ID is the manager ID which is acting in the manager table. So what we have to do is, we have to replace this manager ID which is present in E1, or we have to do a join condition based on a condition where E1 dot manager ID is equal to E2 dot ID. So we can replace 1 with all the details, and we can replace 4 with all the details. Like replacing here doesn't mean that we are replacing any data, but we will get all the details. So we'll perform a join operation here so that we can get the manager details, and then we can perform the operation that where E1 dot salary, that is employee salary, is greater than E2 dot salary, that is manager salary. So we'll perform a join operation here. So how we will do it? So we'll give select, and then what we need in the final result is employee name. So we will give E1 dot name, because right now we are performing a self join, and in self join we are performing it on the same table, so we can't give the same table name, right? So we have to provide an alternate name for this particular table. So we are giving E1 dot name, and then we will give from employee E1, and then we'll give the self join, and then I'll give employee E2, that is right now a manager, and this is the employee table, and then I'll give the condition on which I am joining, that is E1 dot manager ID is equal to E2 dot ID, so that if E1 dot manager ID is 3 here, so we can go ahead and populate the details for 3. And if E1 dot manager ID is 4 here, so we can go ahead and populate the detail for 4. So 3 is Sam and 4 is Max. So we can populate their details here. Now what we have to do is, the condition is where E1 dot salary, that is employee salary, is greater than E2 dot salary, that is manager salary. So we have to check for employee salary which is greater than manager salary. So we are doing a self join here because there is some kind of hierarchy and relationship formed here. Again, we are doing a self join because here we only know the manager ID, but we need to know the manager details, manager salary details, name and everything. So that is why we are self joining, so that we can get the manager detail from the other table. Now here we are naming it as E1 and E2 because we are performing the self join on the same table. We can't give the same name whenever we are performing the self join. So we have given E1 and E2. Now this is how we can perform the self join. If you are getting confused here, I have uploaded a tutorial on self join in my YouTube channel. You can go ahead and have a look so that all the concepts of the self join is clear. Once you understand the self join, this question is a cakewalk. So let's just solve it from LeetCode. So what we will do is, first we will select e1.name, and then the table is from employee e1, and then we'll perform the join operation with employee e2, and then we will give the condition on e1 dot, let me pick the column name from here, manager id is equal to e2 dot id, and then we'll give the condition where e1 dot salary, that is employee salary, is greater than e2 dot salary, that is manager salary. So we'll give this select e1 dot name, we want name, then from this employee table e1, and then we are joining it with the employee table only, so we'll give e1 and e2. Then we will perform a query based on e1 dot manager id is equal to e2 dot id, and we have to fetch the salaries where the salary of employee is greater than manager salary. So I guess the table name here is employee, so let me just replace this with employee, and let's just run this query. Okay, so we are getting wrong answer. Okay, so here you can see that we are getting the wrong answer. The reason behind it is, in the output we are getting the table name as name, but expected output is we want the table name as employee. So what we will do is, we will just provide an alias. So we'll provide as employee, so it will give an alternate name to this e1 dot name or name. So let's just run this again. So here you can see that now it has ran successfully. So this is how we can go ahead and check our errors and then modify the query as it is. So here the error was that it wanted the name for the table to be employee, but it was displaying as name. So that is why the error was coming. So this is how we can solve the question of employee earning more than their managers. Now coming to the next question, that is not boring movies. So here we have to write a solution to report the movies with an odd numbered ID and a description that is not boring. So we have to get all the movies who are having odd numbered ID. And then the second thing is, they should be having a description which is not equal to boring. So I want to fetch all the movies who are having the odd number ID and the description is not equal to boring. So return the result table ordered by rating in descending order. After that, we have to return the table ordered by the rating in descending order. So this is what is given in this particular question. So again, take a 2 minutes pause, think that what we can use here and how we can approach this question, and then we will be solving it. So let's solve this question. First, we need to think that how we can find the odd numbered ID. So odd number ID here is 1, 3 and 5. So how we can find these IDs? So whenever we do a modulus of any number with 2, and if it gives me the remainder as 1, we call it a odd number. So here we would be using the inbuilt mod function which is present in SQL, where we can provide the column name on which we want to perform the modulus operation. Then we can give the value that is 2 that we want to perform modulus on 2, and then we can compare that if the remainder is equal to 1 or not. So using this we can get the odd numbered IDs. Now coming to description, so description should not equal to boring. So we should go to this description column and we should check that if the description is not equal to boring, or we can also use this operator that is not equal to. Now coming to the next part, that is we should order the result by rating in descending orders. So let's see that how we can form the query for the same. So we'll give select and then star, because we want all the details which is present in the input table. Then we will give from, and then we'll give cinema, and then we will give the condition where. So the first condition is mod of id and 2 is equal to 1, and the second condition is and description is not equal to boring. And then we have to order the result, so we'll be using order by, and then we'll give the column name that is rating, and then we'll give the order that is descending. Let's go to the LeetCode and write this particular query and see if it is a accepting solution or not. So first we will give select, and then we will give star since we want all the results in the output. Then we will giving from, and then the table name, so that is cinema. So let me just copy this cinema, and then we will give the condition where the first condition is mod of id comma 2 is equal to 1, and the second condition is description. Let me pick it from here only. So description is not equal to, and then the value is boring. So we'll give boring, and then we will order the results. So we'll use order by, and then we'll give the column name that is rating, and then the order that is descending. So let me just run this query. So here you can see that the query is accepted and has run all the test cases. So let me just submit it. So here you can see that the query has been accepted. So this is how we can find the not boring movies. Now coming to the last question, that is classes more than 5 students. So we have to write a solution to find all the classes that has at least 5 students. At least means either greater than or equal to 5. So we have to find all the classes who are having at least greater than or equal to 5 students. So this is the course table which is having student as well as class. All the student names are given and all the classes given. Now we have to find the class which is having more than 5 students. So take a 2-minute pause. Think that how we can approach this question, and then we will go ahead and discuss the solution. So this is kind of a same question which we solved in the duplicate email. So what we have to do is, first we have got the classes as well as students. So what we will do is we will form the group of all the class. So we'll group the class, and after we have grouped the class, we will count the number of students. So once we have grouped the class, we'll count the number of students, and whenever the count is greater than or equal to 5, we'll print it in the final result. So it was very easy. What we have to do is, first we'll group the class. So we'll group the class according to the value. So there will be a class maths, there will be a group of class English, biology. In this way, there will be multiple groups. Now in all those groups, there would be a students who are enrolled in these particular classes, and then we can count the number of students in this particular groups, and we can see that wherever the count is greater than or equal to 5, we have to return it in final result. So let's see how we can form the query. So first what we would be doing is we will be selecting class, and then we'll give from, and then the table name is courses, and then we will be grouping group by class. So we have formed the group of the class. Then we have to give a condition having count of student count greater than or equal to 5. So this is how we can write the query for the same. First we will be selecting class, then we would be grouping these class, and then we would be counting the number of students which is present in this class. So if the count of student is greater than or equal to 5, we will be returning those classes in the final result. So let's see from LeetCode how we can solve this. So first what we would be doing is we will be selecting class, and then the table name is from courses. So let me just copy it from here, from courses, and then we'll be giving the group by, and then we'll give the column name that is class. So then we'll give the condition having, then we will give count, and then we'll provide the column name that is student greater than or equal to 5. So this is how we can form the query for the same. Select the class from the courses table, group the classes, and then count the number of students in those groups, and if it's greater than or equal to 5, return it in the final result. So let's just run this query. So here you can see that it has accepted and run for the test cases. So let me just submit this. This is how we can approach a SQL question. If you want a part 3, go ahead and comment part 3. I'll be bringing up more questions which would be very helpful in interviews. So this was all about this video. I hope you like this video. So if you like this video, please hit the like button. If you're someone who is new to my channel, can go ahead and watch out the tech content first. And if you find it useful, can go ahead and subscribe. Also, if you have not followed me on my social media handles, you can go ahead and follow. The links are in the description. Till then, Take care, keep learning, keep growing, keep smiling. Bye all.